Season's been going great. Yeah, first 2 weekends have gone pretty much to plan. Just had good, clean events and had a lot of fun. So things so far looking good. Season's progressing well, and looking forward to getting this one going.
Well, the Loudon Classic's just tradition. It's always a really good race. It's a long race. I like that. I can use like more of my motocross skills and longevity throughout the race. But it's also a battle with tires. You got to keep the good tires on and go the distance with that.
The season so far in middleweight GP has gone really well. I got off to a great start round one. I managed a second place finish in the dash, and that's probably my best result to date, and it was one of my best races to date. So I was super happy with that. We came back to round two and it was much warmer, and I struggled a bit. I did not do quite as well, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly what in my setup was causing it, but I was having some grip issues, and I ended up with a third, which is a decent salvage result for not feeling on top of it. So going into the Classic, I'm sitting in pretty good position, but I'm hoping for a good round this weekend.
The season's been going pretty good. We're trying to get back up to speed of where we were doing last year. Kind of a second off of our pace still, but we're making changes and we're getting close to it.
Yeah, season so far has been amazing. You never know where you're going to come back at the beginning of the year, but I came right out running almost a new personal best, and I've just managed to stay right close to it. So been performing great, been feeling great, better every round. I've been dialing in a new setup on one of my bikes, and that's been going killer. Staying on the podium most races, getting up in the top 8 in the dash every race is always fun. Love getting up there and getting to thank all my sponsors and getting the interview.
Season's going pretty good. I ended up finishing 6th in the middleweight GP for the first round, which was good, and then I ended up with the 5th in the last round, which was pretty good. Best ever for that class. Season started off pretty strong, continuing to move that momentum forward for the Classic round.
Yeah, so Loudon Classic, yeah, 20 laps. It's a fairly long race. You know, I do those GT events for that sole reason of being ready for longer races. But it's difficult to put 20 hard laps in, you know, in a hot July day. So got to keep your head clear. Got to be focused on the task, and just try to remain focused for the whole entire time. And try not to treat it like an endurance race, but also it necessarily can't be a sprint race either. So it's that fine line of trying to go hard and have something left at the end of the tank too for, you know, that final push to the checkered flag.
I would think the secret to 20 fast laps is there's a few little rider technique things you can do, where like maybe not use the same part of the tire over and over, maybe, you know, come out of the corners a little bit more leaned over, maybe sometimes stand the bike up. But I think tires is really what it comes down to. You also need to get a good start. That's crucial. We've usually, when we come here, it's gridded based on points. This weekend it's qualifying, so we have a shot to get on the front of the grid, which is going to be crucial for us to get with those front runners. But I think it's really maintaining that rear tire, and tomorrow is going to be difficult with the weather. It's going to be fairly cold, so you're going to have some tearing.
So the Loudon Classic is a little bit of a special round, and instead of 12 laps, we do 20 laps in middleweight GP. And to do 20 laps is quite a bit different. And what it really takes, I think, for me, is just to try and relax and get in a rhythm where I'm not trying to push too hard, but still managing to do the fast times. And hopefully I can keep breathing and not knock myself out, you know, before the halfway point. I think once 10 or 12 laps are down, I can soldier through to the end. But it's those first 10 laps. If I can not get too exhausted, that's the goal.
So 20 laps is a lot of laps. I used to do the GT races, so that's 25 minutes, and so that kind of gets me into close to what the 20 laps is. But yeah, I think the key is just to get off the start, get in good position, and then try to maintain and work my way through.
So the Loudon Classic, 20 laps, pace yourself. You have a long way to go, a bumpy way to go. So just you want to get a strong start. You don't want to lose the field, but also you got to pace yourself and you got to make it to the end. So that's probably the keys for that. Fuel, tires, all going to be fresh, full, and ready to rock and roll.
We have a 2008 Yamaha R6, pretty much blew the dust off it. She's ready to go. We actually tested 2 brands of tires today. We tried Dunlops and Pirellis. We're still up in the air with which ones we're going to go. They both have pros, they both have cons. That's going to be a tough choice. But as far as bike setup, it's pretty stiff, it's pretty tall. We got Öhlins forks, Penske rear, and it's as light as it can be.
So I've been working on some setup changes, not specific to the 20 laps, but more specific to the problems I had at the last round, searching for some more edge grip, just so that the wheel doesn't spin when I'm totally cranked over on the side of the tire. And I think if I can find some mechanical grip on the edge, it will help me over the 20 laps, because the more slides and moments that you have, the more your heart rate goes up and the more your breathing gets faster, and it just sort of exhausts you much more quickly. So if I can find that grip, I'm hoping that I can keep up my pace for longer.
Yeah, I mean the Kawasaki it's a really great bike. I mean, there's not much you could say wrong about it. They're awesome bikes. We're just trying to go just that extra little bit faster. I mean, we're still running exactly what it was like last year. We didn't make any changes to it, so we're just trying to dial in the suspension. Lenny from K-Tech's really helping us out with that. So once we get the suspension done, we're going to start doing some stuff to the motor, get it a little bit faster.
Sure, yeah, the Triumphs, they're a rare breed around here. I've been telling everyone since I was an amateur, I think it's the best bike here. Now, what did I know then, you know? It's got a little more torque, it's nimble, but everyone loves the R6s and the Kawasaki's. You know, some are chasing contingencies, some just think that's the bike because everyone runs it, there's parts everywhere, but I took a stab at these and stayed with them, and man, it's paying off now. They really grunt around this track, out of the corners, all these lower RPMs, and I don't know, it just works. So I'm kind of happy there's not many of us running them, no one else an expert, and but it'd be nice to see someone else give it a shot and see what they think. I'm here if anyone wants to look at them.
So I run the Yamaha R6, which is pretty much the standard issue 600 that most people run now. It does have complete fiberglass bodywork, Öhlins front and rear suspension, case covers, tons of woodcraft protection parts on there, but it's just basically your standard run-of-the-mill R6, nothing too crazy, just with some light modifications on it to make it easier to go around this place better.
We have a few key supporters this weekend. Fellsway Plastering has really stepped up to get us out here. Adam Kells from AK Race Fab, Hempex CBD products are definitely stepped up to help us get out here. And yeah, my dad, friends and family, everyone's here, and we're gonna have a good weekend.
So this season so far has not been great. I started off with a win, which was pretty good. Last round I crashed in turn 11, and ever since then I had some bike issues, but we spent today and yesterday sorting them out. So I'm gonna go up for my 2 races today, and hopefully those changes that we made are better, thanks to Eric and my dad and everyone that's been helping me to try and get my bike figured out. So hopefully I can finish a win today.
Round 2, super singles. Went into it obviously with some pretty good momentum. Went in the first round. There was a logistics issue with some tires coming into the country, and MTAG Pirelli Mike Kurtz couldn't get any Metzlers in. Nothing he could do about it, not his fault. So I ended up running a Pirelli, which in theory it's the same company, but it is a little different. My bike just wasn't set up for it enough. I had a hard time turning. I just went out and did what I could do on those tires without tweaking a bunch of suspension. Ended up third, so I got a podium in it. It wasn't bad, salvaged some good points, and then move on to the next round and get some good rubber that I know underneath me.
So my plan originally was to finish the year here, but I'll be moving to Georgia next month, so this will be my last round. I'm hoping to finish it off strong, but once we get down to Georgia, I'm probably planning on going back to flat track. I'll definitely still be doing a lot of road racing, but I kind of want to do both for a little while and see where that takes me.
Yeah, pretty much we started off bad. We didn't even have a bike. And then last night we put a head gasket in this bike, and from there it was just kind of stressful. I didn't even fix it until this morning, right before first Group 8 practice, so it was pretty wild. And we didn't even know if it was gonna work, so we got out in the first practice, did about 2 laps and came in, and then the second Group 8, the power of the bike shut off, so we had another problem there. And then we finally got a qualifying session, which was the first 4 laps complete I did of the weekend, so it was pretty good. Yeah, of course, the race, I don't even know his name, but Paul and the other guy got a killer start, and I kind of just paced it off. I wanted Scotty to be in front of me. To be honest, I didn't really have the speed today to check out, just from lack of time in practice, but we were dicing back and forth, and Scotty kind of knew what I was doing, and I just followed him for pretty much that halfway of the race, and I seen his tire going, so I put my head down for like 2 or 3 laps, and I broke that little barrier that I needed, and came home to the checkers.
So the Classic Dash yesterday, it was my first time running it. I've never done the 20-lap dash or any 20-lap race. I barely survived the 12, so I've had, dare say, nightmares about this race coming up and how well I would do and make it through, and all I wanted was a top 8 and to finish it. So I accomplished both, but the start of the race, man, I don't know how it worked out, but somehow I came from the second row to take the whole shot between Shane and Scott and all of them, and that was great. So of course I expect them all to come around in 3, and no one did, no one in the bowl, and Paul Duvall got me into 11, but of course I've got a little more power this year. I got him back down the straightaway, and to finish the first lap in first place, it was just, again, smiling ear to ear, just a blast, knowing those guys were coming by any minute. It just great. And to run the whole rest of the race, consistent 15s, putting in a new personal best on the 13th lap when I thought I would have been shut down and just struggling. Yeah, having my in-laws watching me for the first time, the whole day couldn't have been any better. So it was a great race, great time.
So I showed up Thursday for the 2-day Penguin School. I rode a little bit Thursday, and in the afternoon I had a bike issue when I was doing a one-on-one coaching session. It shut off, so I brought it back in, started tearing it apart, did some investigating, and one of the rocker arms failed. Unfortunately, that's not something I can replace here. It's going to be an ordered part, so that bike was down for the count. So being that I didn't have an A bike to ride, once again Eric Block stepped up, Team ECB, Eli Block's bike here. He offered it up, so I went out and rode on it on Friday just to try to get familiar with it. I got about 50 or 60 pounds on Eli, so the suspension was a little plush. But this thing is a missile. It runs phenomenal. It handles phenomenal. And there was enough great things about it where I could ride around the soft suspension. So I went out on my normal tires for super singles on Eli's bike, and ended up fighting for third place. I had third with a fight with Sergio, and he got me back in the bowl. And Ben Glotty and Gunnar ended up getting first and second. So I ended up fourth, but those two don't normally run the championship, so one spot behind Sergio still has me in the hunt.